Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams. The set is the bed-sitting room of a plantation home in the Mississippi Delta. It is along an upstairs gallery which probably runs around the entire house. It has two pairs of very wide doors opening onto the gallery, showing white balustrades against a fair summer sky that fades into dusk and night during the course of the play, which occupies precisely the time of its performance, expecting, of course, the 15 minutes of intermission. Perhaps the style of the room is not what you would expect in the home of the Delta's biggest cotton planter. It is Victorian with a touch of the Far East. It hasn't changed much since it was occupied by the original owners of the place, Jack Straw and Peter Ocello, a pair of old bachelors who shared this room all their lives together. In other words, the room must evoke some ghosts. It is gently and poetically haunted by a relationship that must have involved a tenderness which was uncommon. This may be irrelevant or unnecessary, but I once saw a reproduction of a faded photograph of the veranda of Robert Louis Stevenson's home on that Samoan island where he spent his last years, and there was a quality of tender light on weathered wood, such as porch furniture made of bamboo and wicker, exposed to tropical suns and tropical rains, which came to mind when I thought about the set for this play, bringing also to mind the grace and comfort of light, the reassurance it gives on a late and fair afternoon in summer. The way that no matter what, even the dread of death is gently touched and soothed by it. For the set is the background for a play that deals with human extremities of emotion, and it needs that softness behind it. The bathroom door, showing only pale blue tile and silver towel racks, is on one side wall, the hall door in the opposite wall. Two articles of furniture need mention. A big double bed, which staging should make a functional part of the set as often as is suitable, the surface of which should be slightly raked to make figures on it seen more easily, and against the wall space between the two huge double doors upstage, a monumental monstrosity peculiar to our times, a huge console combination of a radio phonograph, hi-fi with 3 speakers, a TV set, and a liquor cabinet, bearing and containing many glasses and bottles, all in one piece, which is a composition of muted silver tones and the opalescent tones of a reflecting glass, a chromatic link, this thing between the sepia, tawny gold tones of the interior and the cool white and blue tones of the gallery and sky. This piece of furniture, this monument, is very complete and compact little shrine to virtually all the comforts and illusions behind which we hide from such things as the characters in the play are faced with. The set should be far less realistic than I have so far implied in this description of it. I think the walls below the ceiling should dissolve mysteriously into the air. The set should be roofed by the sky, the stars and moons suggested by traces of milky pallor, as if they were observed through a telescope lens out of focus. Anything else I can think of? Oh yes, fan lights. Transom shaped like an open glass fan above all the doors on set with panes of blue and amber, and above all, the designer should take as many pains to give the actors room to move about freely, to show their restlessness, their passion for breaking out, as if it were a set for a ballet. An evening in summer. The action is continuous with 2 intermissions. Act 1. At the rise of the curtain, someone is taking a shower in the bathroom, the door of which is half open. A pretty young woman with anxious lines on her face enters the bedroom and crosses to the bathroom door.
One of those no-neck monsters hit me with a hot buttered biscuits. I have to change.
Water turns off and Brick calls out to her, but is still unseen.
What'd you say, Maggie? Water was on so loud I couldn't hear you.
Well, I just remarked that one of the no-neck monsters messed up my lovely lace dresser. I got to change.
She opens and kicks shut drawers of the dresser.
Why do you call Gooper's kitties no-neck monsters?
Because they've got no necks. Isn't that a good enough reason?
Don't they have necks?
None visible. Their fat little heads are set on their fat little bodies without a bit of connection.
That's too bad.
Yes, it's too bad because you can't wring their necks if they got no necks to wring. Isn't that right, honey?
She steps out of her dress and stands in a slip of ivory satin and lace.
Yep, they're no-neck monsters. Monsters. All no-neck people are monsters.
Children shriek downstairs.
Hear them? Hear them screaming? I don't know where their voice boxes are located since they don't have necks. I tell you, I got so nervous at the table tonight, I thought I would throw my head back and utter a scream you could hear across the Arkansas border and parts of Louisiana and Tennessee. I said to your charming sister-in-law, May, honey, couldn't you feed those precious little things at a separate table with an oilcloth cover? They make such a mess, and the lace cloth looks so pretty. She made enormous eyes at me and said, "Oh, no, on Big Daddy's birthday? Why, he would never forgive me." Well, I want you to know, Big Daddy hadn't been at the table 2 minutes with those 5 no-neck monsters slobbering and drooling over their food before he threw down his fork and shouted, "For God's sake, Gooper, why don't you put them pigs at a trough in the kitchen?" Well, I swear, I simply could have died. Think of it, Brick. They've got 5 of them, and number 6 is coming. They've brought the whole bunch down here like animals to display at a county fair. Why, they have those children doing tricks all the time. Junior, show Big Daddy how you do this. Show Big Daddy how you do that. Say a little piece for Big Daddy, sister. Show your dimples, sugar. Brother, show Big Daddy how you stand on your head. It goes on all the time, along with constant little remarks and innuendos about the fact that you and I have not produced any children, are totally childless, and therefore totally useless. Of course, it's comical, but it's also disgusting since it's so obvious what they're up to.
What are they up to, Maggie?
Why, you know what they're up to.
No, I don't know what they're up to.
He stands there in the bathroom doorway, drying his hair with the towel hanging onto the towel rack because one ankle is broken, plastered and bound. He is still slim and firm as a boy. His liquor hasn't started tearing him down outside. He has the additional charm of that cool air of detachment that people who have given up the struggle. But now and then, when disturbed, something flashes behind it, lightning in a fair sky, which shows that at some deeper level he is far from peaceful. Perhaps in a stronger light he would show some signs of deliquescence, but the fading, still warm light from the gallery treats him gently.
I'll tell you what they're up to, boy of mine. They're cutting you out of your father's estate, and...
She freezes momentarily before her next remark. Her voice drops as if it were somehow a personally embarrassing admission.
Now that we know Big Daddy's dying of cancer...
Their voices on the lawn below, long-drawn calls across the distance. Margaret raises her lovely bare arms and powders her armpits with a light sigh. She adjusts the angle of the magnifying mirror to straighten an eyelash, then rises fretfully, saying,
"There's so much light in the room,
Do we?
Do we what?
No, Big Daddy's dying of cancer?
Got the report today?"
Oh.
Margaret lets down the bamboo blinds, which cast long, gold-fretted shadows over the room.
"Yep, got the report just now. It didn't surprise me, baby."
Her voice has range and music. Sometimes it drops as low as a boy's, and you have a sudden image of her playing boys' games as a child.
"I recognized the symptoms soon as we got here last spring, and I'm willing to bet you Brother Man and his wife were pretty sure of it, too. That more than likely explains why their usual summer migration to the coolness of the Great Smokies was passed up this summer in favor of hustling down here and every whip-stitch with their whole screaming tribe, and why so many allusions have been made to the Rainbow Hill lately. You know what Rainbow Hill is? Place that's famous for treating alcoholics and dope fiends in the movies."
I'm not in the movies.
"No, and you don't take dope. Otherwise, you're a perfect candidate for Rainbow Hill, baby. And that's where they aim to ship you. Over my dead body. Yep, over my dead body they'll ship you there, but nothing would please them better. Then Brother Man could get a hold of the purse strings and dole out remittances to us. Maybe get power of attorney and sign checks for us and cut off our credit wherever he wanted. Son of a bitch. How'd you like that, baby? Well, you've been doing just about everything in your power to bring it about. You've just been doing everything you can think of to aid and abet them in this scheme of theirs. Quitting work, devoting yourself to the occupation of drinking, breaking your ankle last night on the high school athletic field. Doing what? Jumping hurdles at 2 or 3 in the morning? Just fantastic. Got in the paper. Clarksdale Register carried a nice little item about it. Human interest story about a well-known former athlete staging a one-man track meet on the glorious Hill High School athletic field last night, but was slightly out of condition and didn't clear the first hurdle. Brother Man Gooper claims he exercised his influence to keep it from going out over AP or UP or every goddamn P. But Brick, you still have one big advantage.
During the above swift flood of words, Brick has reclined on the snowy surface of the bed and has rolled over carefully on his side or belly.
Did you say something, Maggie?
Big Daddy dotes on you, honey, and he can't stand Brother Man and Brother Man's wife, that monster of fertility, May. She's downright odious to him. Know how I know? By little expressions that flicker over his face when that woman is holding forth on one of her topics, such as how she refused twilight sleep when the twins were delivered, because she feels motherhood's an experience that a woman ought to experience fully in order to fully appreciate the wonder of beauty of it. Ha!
This loud ha is accompanied by a violent action, such as slamming a drawer shut.
And how she made Brother Man come in and stand beside her in the delivery room so he would not miss out on the wonder and beauty of it either, producing those no-neck monsters.
A speech of this kind would be antipathetic from almost anybody, but Margaret, she makes it oddly funny because her eyes constantly twinkle and her voice shakes with laughter, which is basically indulgent.
Big Daddy shares my attitude toward those two. As for me, well, I give him a laugh now and then, and he tolerates me. In fact, I sometimes suspect that Big Daddy harbors a little unconscious lech for me.
What makes you think that Big Daddy has a lech for you, Maggie?
Way he always drops his eyes down my body when I'm talking to him. Drops his eyes to my boobs and licks his old chops.
That kind of talk is disgusting.
Did everyone ever tell you that you're an ass-aching Puritan, Brick? I think it's mighty fine that old fellow on the doorstep of death still takes in my shape and what I think is deserved appreciation. And you want to know something else? Big Daddy didn't know how many little Mays and Goopers had been produced. How many kids have you got? He asked at the table, just like Brother Man and his wife are new acquaintances to him. Big Mama said he was joking, but that old boy wasn't joking. Lord, no. And when they informed him that he had 5 already and were turning out number 6, the news seemed to come as a sort of unpleasant surprise.
Children yell below.
Scream, monsters!
Turns to Brick with a sudden, gay, charming smile, which fades as she notices that he is not looking at her, but into fading gold space with a troubled expression. It is constant rejection that makes her humor bitchy.
Yes, you should have seen that supper table, baby. You know, Big Daddy, bless his old sweet soul, he's the dearest old thing in the world, but he does hunch over his food as if he's preferred not to notice anything else. Well, May and Gooper were side by side at the table, directly across from Big Daddy, watching his face like hawks, while they jawed and jabbered about the cuteness and brilliance of those no-neck monsters. And the no-neck monsters were ranged around the table, some in high chairs and some on the books of knowledge, all in fancy little paper caps in honor of Big Daddy's birthday, and all through dinner. Well, I want you to know that Brother Man and his partner never once, for one moment, stopped exchanging pokes and pinches and kicks and signs and signals. Why, they were like a couple of card sharps fleecing a sucker. Even Big Mama, bless her old sweet soul, she isn't the quickest and brightest thing in the world. She finally noticed at last and said to Gooper, Gooper, what are you and May making all these signs at each other about? I swear to goodness, I nearly choked on my chicken.
Margaret, back at the dressing table, still doesn't see Brick. He is watching her with a look that is not quite definable. Amused? Shocked? Contemptuous? Part of those and part of something else.
You know, your brother Gooper still cherishes the illusion he took a giant step up on the social ladder when he married Miss May Flynn of the Memphis Flynns.
Margaret moves about the room as she talks, stops before the mirror, moves on.
But I have a piece of Spanish news for Gooper. The Flynns never had a thing in this world but money, and they lost that. They were nothing at all but fairly successful climbers. Of course, May Flynn came out in Memphis 8 years before I made my debut in Nashville. But I had friends at Ward Belmont who came from Memphis, and they used to come and see me, and I used to go and see them for Christmas and spring vacations, and so I know who rates and who doesn't rate in Memphis society. Why, you know, old Papa Flynn, he barely escaped doing time in the federal pen for shady manipulations on the stock market when his chain stores crashed. And as for May having been a cotton carnival queen, as they remind us so often, lest we forget, well, that's one honor I don't envy her for. Sit on a brass throne on a tacky float and ride down Main Street, smiling, bowing, blowing kisses to all the trash on the street. Why, year before last, when Susan McFeeters was signaled out for that honor, you know what happened to her? You know what happened to this poor little Susan McFeeters?
Oh, what happened to Susie McFeeters?
Somebody spit tobacco juice in her face.
Somebody spit tobacco juice in her face.
That's right. Some old drunk leaned out of a window in the Hotel Gayoso and yelled, "Hey, Queen! Hey there, Queenie!" Poor Susie looked up and flashed him a radiant smile, and he shot out a squirt of tobacco right in poor Susie's face.
Well, what do you know about that?
What do I know about it? I was there. I saw it.
Must have been kind of funny.
Oh, Susie didn't think so. Had hysterics, screamed like a banshee. They had to stop the parade and remove her from the throne and go on with.
She catches sight of him in the mirror, gasps slightly, wheels to face him.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Like what, Maggie?
The way you were looking at me just now, before I caught your eye in the mirror and you started to whistle. I don't know how to describe it, but froze my blood. I caught you looking at me like that so often lately. What are you thinking of when you look at me like that?
I wasn't conscious of looking at you, Maggie.
Well, I was conscious of it. What were you thinking?
I don't remember thinking of anything, Maggie.
Don't you think I know that?
Know what, Maggie?
That I've gone through this hideous transformation, become hard, frantic, cruel. That's what you've been observing in me lately. How could you help but observe it? That's all right. I'm not thin-skinned anymore. Can't afford to be thin-skinned anymore. But, Brick,
Say something?
I was going to say something. That I get lonely. Very.
Everybody gets that.
Living with someone you love can be lonelier than living entirely alone if one that you love doesn't love you.
There is a pause. Brick hobbles downstage and asks without looking at her.
Would you like to live alone, Maggie?
Another pause. Then, after she has caught a quick, hurt breath.
No, God, I wouldn't.
Another gasping breath. She forcibly controls what must have been an impulse to cry out. We see her deliberately, very forcibly going all the way back to the world in which you can talk about ordinary matters.
Did you have a nice shower?
Uh-huh.
Was the water cool?
No.
But it made you feel fresh, huh?
Fresher?
I know something would make you feel much fresher.
What?
An alcohol rub, or cologne, a rub with cologne.
That's good after a workout, but I haven't been working out, Maggie.
You've kept in good shape, though.
You think so, Maggie?
Oh, I always thought drinking men lost their looks, but I was plainly mistaken.
Why, thanks, Maggie.
You're the only drinking man I know that never seems to put fat on.
I'm getting softer, Maggie.
Well, sooner or later, it's bound to soften you up. It was just beginning to soften up Skipper when... I'm sorry. I could never keep my fingers off the saw. I wish you would lose your looks. If you did, it would make the martyrdom of St. Maggie a little more bearable. But no such goddamn look. I actually believe you've gotten better looking since you've gone on the bottle. Yeah, a person who didn't know you would think you'd never had a tense nerve in your body or a strained muscle.
There are sounds of croquet on the lawn below, the click of mallets, light voices, near and distant.
Of course, you always had that detached quality as if you were playing a game without much concern over whether you won or lost. Now that you've lost the game, not lost, but just quit playing, you have that rare sort of charm that usually only happens in very old or hopelessly sick people. The charm of the defeated. You look so cool, so enviably cool.
Music is heard.
Oh, they're playing croquet. The moon has appeared and it's white, just beginning to turn a little bit yellow. You were a wonderful lover. Such a wonderful person to go to bed with, and I think mostly because you were really indifferent to it. Isn't that right? Never had any anxiety about it. Did it naturally, easily, slowly, with absolute confidence and perfect calm. More like opening a door for a lady or seating her at a table than giving expression to any longing for her. Your indifference made you wonderful at lovemaking. Strange, but true. You know, if I thought you would never make love to me again, I would go downstairs to the kitchen and pick out the longest and sharpest knife I could find and stick it straight into my heart. I swear that I would. But one thing I don't have is the charm of the defeated. My hat is still in the ring, and I am determined to win.
There's the sound of croquet mallets hitting croquet balls.
What is the victory of a cat on a hot tin roof? I wish I knew. Just staying on it, I guess, as long as you can.
More croquet sounds.
Later tonight, I'm going to tell you I love you, and maybe by that time you'll be drunk enough to believe me. Yes, they're playing croquet. Big Daddy is dying of cancer. What were you thinking of when I caught you looking at me like that? Were you thinking of Skipper?
Brick takes up his crutch, rises.
Oh, excuse me, forgive me, but the laws of silence don't work. No, laws of silence don't work.
Brick crosses to the bar, takes a quick drink, and rubs his head with a towel.
Laws of silence don't work. When something is festering in your memory or your imagination, laws of silence don't work. It's just like shutting a door and locking it on a house on fire in hopes of forgetting that the house is burning. But not facing a fire doesn't put it out. Silence about a thing just magnifies it. It grows and festers in silence, becomes malignant. Get dressed, Brick.
He drops his crutch.
I've dropped my crutch.
He has stopped rubbing his hair dry, but still stands hanging on the towel rack in a white towel cloth robe.
Lean on me.
No, just give me my crutch.
Lean on my shoulder.
I don't want to lean on your shoulder. I want my crutch. Are you going to give me my crutch, or do I have to get down on my knees on the floor and...
Here, take it. Take it.
She has thrust the crutch at him.
Thanks.
We mustn't scream at each other. The walls in this house have ears.
He hobbles directly to the liquor cabinet to get a new drink.
That's the first time I've heard you raise your voice in a long time, Brick. Cracking the wall of composure. I think that's a good sign. Sign of nerves in a player on the defensive.
Brick
Just
turns.
hasn't happened yet, Maggie.
What?
The click I get in my head when I've had enough of this stuff to make me peaceful. Will you do me a favor?
Maybe I will. What favor?
Just keep your voice down.
I'll do you that favor. I'll speak in a whisper, if not shut up completely. If you will do me a favor and make that drink your last one till after the party.
What party?
Big Daddy's birthday party.
Is this Big Daddy's birthday?
You know this is Big Daddy's birthday.
No, I don't. I forgot it.
Well, I remembered it for you.
They are both speaking as breathlessly as a pair of kids after a fight, drawing deep, exhausted breaths and looking at each other with faraway eyes, shaking and panting together as if they have broken apart from a violent struggle.
Good for you, Maggie.
You just have to scribble a few lines on this card.
You scribble something, Maggie.
It's got to be your handwriting. It's your present. I've given him my present. It's got to be your handwriting.
The tension between them is building again. The voice is becoming shrill once more.
I didn't get him a present.
I got one for you.
All right, you write the card then.
And have him know you didn't remember his birthday.
I didn't remember his birthday.
You don't have to prove you didn't.
I don't want to fool him about it.
Just write, love, Brick, for God's
No,
You've got to.
I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. You keep forgetting the conditions on which I agreed to stay on living with you.
I'm not living with you. We occupy the same cage.
You've got to remember the conditions agreed on.
They're impossible conditions.
Then why don't you?
Hush. Who's out there? Somebody at the door?
There are footsteps in the hall.
May I enter a moment?
Oh, you? Sure. Come in, May.
May enters bearing aloft the bow of a young lady's archery set.
Brick, is this thing yours?
Why, sister woman, that's my Diana trophy. Won it at the intercollegiate archery contest on the Ole Miss campus.
It's a mighty dangerous thing to leave exposed around a house full of normal red-blooded children attracted to weapons.
Normal red-blooded children attracted to weapons ought to be kept their hands off things that don't belong to them.
Maggie, honey, if you had children of your own, you'd know how funny that is. Would you please lock this up and put the key out of reach?
Sister woman, nobody is plotting the destruction of your kitties. Brick and I still have our special archer's lessons. We're going deer hunting on Moon Lake as soon as the season starts. I love to run with the dogs through chilly woods, run, leap over obstructions.
She goes into the closet carrying the bow.
How's the injured ankle, Brick?
Doesn't hurt, just itches.
Oh, my Brick, you should have been downstairs after the supper. Kitty's put on a show, Polly played the piano, busted in sunny drums, and then they turned out the lights and Dixie and Trixie performed a toe dance in fairy costumes with sparkles. Big Daddy just beamed. He just beamed.
Oh, I bet. It breaks my heart that we missed it.
She re-enters.
But May, why'd you give dogs names to all your kitties?
Dogs' names?
Margaret has made this observation as she goes to raise the bamboo blinds since the sunset glare has diminished. In crossing, she winks at Brick.
Dixie, Trixie, Buster, Sunny, Polly. Sounds like 4 dogs and a parrot. Animal act in a circus.
Maggie,
Margaret turns with a smile.
why are you so catty?
'Cause I'm a cat. Why can't you take a joke, sister woman?
Nothing pleases me more than a joke that's funny. You know the real names of our kitties. Buster's real name is Robert. Sunny's real name is Saunders, and Trixie's real name is Marlene, and Dixie's...
Someone downstairs calls for her. Hey, May! She rushes to the door, saying,
Intermission's over.
I wonder what Dixie's real name is.
Maggie, being catty doesn't help things any.
I know. Why am I so catty? 'Cause I'm consumed with envy and eaten up with longing. Brick, I've laid out your beautiful Shanton silk suit from Rome and one of your monogram silk shirts. I'll put your cufflinks in it, those lovely star sapphires I get you to wear so rarely.
I can't get trousers on over this plastic cast.
Oh, yes, you can. I'll help you.
I'm not going to get dressed, Maggie.
Will you just put on a pair of white silk pajamas?
Yes, I'll do that, Maggie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Don't mention it.
Oh, Brick, how long does it have to go on, this punishment? Haven't I done time enough? Haven't I served my term? Can't I apply for a pardon?
Maggie, you're spoiling my liquor. Lately, your voice always sounds like you've been running upstairs to warn somebody that the house was on fire.
Well, no wonder, no wonder. You know what I feel like, Brick? Feel all the time like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Then jump off the roof. Jump off it. Cats can jump off roofs and land on their 4 feet uninjured.
Oh, yes.
Do it. For God's sake, do it.
Do what?
Take a lover.
I can't see a man but you. Even with my eyes closed, I just see you. Why don't you get ugly, Brick? Why don't you please get fat or ugly or something so I could stand it?
She rushes to the hall door, opens it, listens.
The concert is still going on. Bravo, no next. Bravo.
She slams the door and locks it fiercely.
What did you lock the door for?
To give us a little privacy for a while.
You know better, Maggie.
No, I don't know better.
She rushes to the gallery door and straws the rose silk drapes across them.
Don't make a fool of yourself.
I don't mind making a fool of myself over you.
I mind, Maggie. I feel embarrassed for you.
Feel embarrassed, but don't continue my torture. I can't live on and on under these circumstances.
You agreed to
I
accept
know,
that
but
condition.
I can't. I can't.
She seizes his shoulder.
Let go.
He breaks away from her and seizes the small boudoir chair and raises it like a lion tamer facing a big circus cat. Count 5. She stares at him with her fist pressed to her mouth, then bursts into shrill, almost hysterical laughter. He remains grave for a moment, then grins and puts the chair down. Big Mama calls through the closed door.
Son? Son? Son?
What is it, Big Mama?
Oh, son, we got the most wonderful news about Big Daddy. I just had to run up and tell you right this.
She rattles the knob.
What's this door doing locked for? Y'all think there's robbers in the house?
Big Mama, Brick is dressing. He's not dressed yet.
Oh, that's all right. It won't be the first time I've seen Brick not dressed. Come on, open this door.
Margaret, with a grimace, goes to unlock and open the hall door as Brick hobbles rapidly to the bathroom and kicks the door shut. Big Mama has disappeared from the hall.
Big Mama?
Big Mama appears through the opposite gallery doors behind Margaret, huffing and puffing like an old bulldog. She is a short, stout woman. Her 60 years and 170 pounds have left her somewhat breathless most of the time. She's always tensed like a boxer, or rather a Japanese wrestler. Her family was maybe a little superior to Big Daddy's, but not much. She wears a black or silver lace dress and gets at least 500,000 flashy gems. She is very sincere.
Here, I come through Gooper's and May's gallery door. Where's Brick? Brick, hurry on out of there, son. I just have a second and want to give you the news about Big Daddy. I hate locked doors in a house.
I've noticed you do, Big Mama, but people have got to have some moments of privacy, don't they?
No, ma'am, not in my house. What you took off your dress for? I thought that little lace dress was so sweet on you, honey.
I thought it looked sweet on me, too, but one of them cute little table partners used it for a napkin, so.
What?
You know, Big Mama, May and Gooper's so touchy about those children. Thanks, Big Mama.
Big Mama has thrust the picked-up stockings in Margaret's hand with a grunt.
That you just don't dare to suggest there's any room for improvement in their...
Brick, hurry out. Shoot, Maggie, you just don't like children.
I do so like children. Adore them. Well brought up.
Well, why don't you have some and bring them up then, instead of all the time picking on Goopers and Mays?
Hey, Big Mama Bessie and Hugh got to go. Waiting to tell you goodbye.
Tell them to hold their horses. I'll be right down in a jiffy.
She turns to the bathroom door and calls out.
Son, can you hear me in there?
There's a muffled answer.
We just got the full report from the laboratory at the Oshner Clinic. Completely negative, son. Everything negative, right on down the line. Nothing at all's wrong with him but some little functional thing called a spastic colon. Can you hear me, son?
He can hear you, Big Mama.
Then why don't he say something? God almighty, a piece of news like that should make him shout. It made me shout, I can tell you. I shouted and sobbed and fell right down on my knees. Look.
She pulls up her skirt.
See the bruises where I hit my kneecaps? Took both doctors to hold me back on my feet.
She laughs. She always laughs like Helen herself.
Big Daddy was furious with me. But ain't that wonderful news?
Facing the bathroom again, she continues.
After all the anxiety we've been through to get a report like that on Big Daddy's birthday, Big Daddy tried to hide how much of a load that news took off his mind, but didn't fool me. He was mighty close to crying about it himself. Hold those people down there. Don't let them go. Now get dressed. We're all coming up to this room for Big Daddy's birthday party because of your ankle. How's his ankle, Maggie?
Well, he broke it, Big Mama.
I know he broke it.
A phone is ringing in the hall. Sookie answers. Mr. Polly's residence.
I mean, does it hurt him still?
I'm afraid I can't give you that information, Big Mama. You'll have to ask Brick if it hurts much still or not.
It's Memphis, Miss Polly. It's Sally in Memphis.
All right, Sookie.
Big Mama rushes into the hall and is heard shouting on the phone.
Hello, Miss Sally. How are you, Miss Sally? Yes, well, I was just going to call you about it.
She raises her voice to a bellow.
Miss Sally, don't ever call me from the Gayoso lobby. Too much talk goes on in that hotel lobby. No wonder you can't hear me. Now listen, Miss Sally, there's nothing serious wrong with Big Daddy. We got the report just now. There's nothing wrong but a thing called a spastic colon.
She appears at the hall door and calls to Margaret.
Maggie, come out here and talk to that fool on the phone. I'm shouted, breathless.
Miss Sally, this is Brick's wife, Maggie. So nice to hear your voice. Can you hear mine? Well, good. Big Mama just wanted you to know that they got the report from the Oshna Clinic, and what Big Daddy has is a spastic colon. Yes, spastic colon, Miss Sally. That's right, spastic colon. Goodbye, Miss Sally. Hope I'll see you real soon. She heard me perfectly. I've discovered with deaf people the thing to do is not shout at them, but just enunciate clearly. My rich old Aunt Cornelia was deaf as the dead, but I could make her hear me just by saying each word slowly, distinctly, close to her ear. I read her the commercial appeal every night, read her the classified ads in it even. She never missed a word of it, but she was a mean old thing. You know what I got when she died? Her unexpired subscriptions to 5 magazines and the Book of the Month Club and a library full of every dull book ever written. All else went to her hellcat of a sister, meaner than she was even.
Big Mama has been straightening things up in the room during this speech.
Miss Sally sure is a case. Big Daddy says she's always got a handout for something. He's not mistaken. That poor old thing always has a handout for something. I don't think Big Daddy gives her as much as he should.
Somebody shouts for her downstairs, and she shouts,
I'm coming.
She starts out. At the hall door, turns and jerks a forefinger, first towards the bathroom door, then towards the liquor cabinet, meaning, has Brick been drinking? Margaret pretends not to understand. Big Mama rushes back to Margaret.
Shoot, stop playing so dumb. I mean, has he been drinking that stuff much yet?
I think he had a highball after supper.
Don't laugh about it. Some single men stop drinking when they get married, and others stop. Brick never touched liquor before he...
That's not fair.
Fair or not fair, I want to ask you a question. One question. Do you make Brick happy in bed?
Why don't you ask me if he makes me happy in bed?
Because I know that.
It works both ways.
Something's not right. You're childless and my son drinks.
Someone has called her downstairs, and she is rushed to the door in the line above. She turns to the door and points at the bed.
When a marriage goes on the rocks are there, right there.
That's
Big Mama has swept out of the room and closed the door.
not fair.
Margaret is alone, completely alone, and she feels it. She draws in, hunches her shoulders, raises her arms with fists clenched, shuts her eyes as tight as a child about to be stabbed with a vaccination needle. When she opens her eyes again, what she sees is the long oval mirror, and she rushes straight to it, stares into it with a grimace, and says, "Who are you?" She crouches a little and then answers herself in a different voice, which is high, thin, and mocking. "I am Maggie the cat. She straightens as quickly as the bathroom door opens.
Is Big Mama gone?
She's gone.
He opens the bathroom door and hobbles out with his liquor glass now empty, straight to the liquor cabinet. He is whistling softly. Margaret's head pivots on her long, slender throat to watch him. She raises a hand uncertainly to the base of her throat, as if it was difficult for her to swallow before she speaks.
You know, our sex life didn't just peter out in the usual way. It was cut off short, long before the natural time for it to. And it's going to revive again, just as sudden as that. I'm confident of it. That's what I'm keeping myself attractive for. For the time you'll see me again, like other men see me. Yes, like other men see me. They still see me, Brick, and they like what they see. Some of them will give their... Look, Brick.
She stands before the long oval mirror, touches her breast and then her hips with her two hands.
How high my body stays on me. Nothing has fallen on me. Not a fraction.
Her voice is soft and trembling, a pleading child's. At this moment, he turns to glance at her, a look which is like a player passing a ball to another player. Third down and goal to go. She has to capture the audience in a grip so tight she can hold it till the first intermission without any lapse of attention.
Other men still want me. My face looks strained sometimes, but I've kept my figure as well as you've kept yours, and men admire it. I still turn heads on the street. Why, last week in Memphis, everywhere I went, men's eyes burned holes in my clothes. At the country club and in restaurants and department stores, there was a man I met that I walked by that didn't just eat me up with his eyes and turn around when I passed him and look back at me. Why, at Alice's party for her New York cousins, the best-looking man in the crowd followed me upstairs and tried to force his way in the powder room with me, followed me to the door and tried to force his way in.
Why didn't you let him, Maggie?
Because I'm not that common, for one thing. Not that I wasn't almost tempted to. You like to know who it was? It was Sonny Boy Maxwell, that's who.
Oh, yeah, Sonny Boy Maxwell. He was a good end runner, but had a little injury to his back and had to quit.
He has no injury now and has no wife and still has a ledge for me.
I see no reason to lock him out of a powder room in that case.
And have someone catch me at it? I'm not that stupid. Oh, I might sometime cheat on you with someone since you're so insultingly eager to have me do it. But if I do, you can be damned sure it will be in a place and time where no one but me and the man could possibly know. Because I'm not going to give you any excuse to divorce me for being unfaithful or anything else.
Maggie, I wouldn't divorce you for being unfaithful or anything else. Don't you know that? Hell, I'd be relieved to know you found yourself a lover.
Well, I'm taking no chances. No, I'd rather stay on this hot tin roof.
A hot tin roof's an uncomfortable place to stay on.
He starts to whistle softly.
Yeah, but I can stay on it just as long as I have to.
You could leave me, Maggie.
He resumes the whistle. She turns to glare at him.
Don't want to and will not. Besides, if I did, you don't have a cent to pay for it but what you get from Big Daddy, and he's dying of cancer.
For the first time, a realization of Big Daddy's doom seems to penetrate Brick's consciousness visibly, and he looks at Margaret.
Big Mama just said he wasn't, that the report was okay.
That's what she thinks, because she's got the same story that they gave Big Daddy. And was just as taken in by it as he was. Poor old things. But tonight they're going to tell her the truth about it. When Big Daddy goes to bed, they're going to tell her that he is dying of cancer.
She slams the dresser drawer.
It's malignant, and it's terminal.
Does Big Daddy know it?
Hell, do they ever know it? Nobody says, you're dying. You have to fool them. They have to fool themselves.
Why?
Why? Because human beings dream of life everlasting. That's the reason. But most of them want it on earth and not in heaven. Well.
She touches up her mascara.
That's how it is, anyhow.
She looks about.
Where did I put down my cigarette? Don't want to burn up the home place. At least not with May and Gooper and their 5 monsters in it.
She has found it and sucks at it greedily. Smoke blows out and she continues.
So this is Big Daddy's last birthday. And May and Gooper, they know it. Oh, they know it all right. They got the first information from the Oshner Clinic. That's why they rushed down here with their no-neck monsters. Because, do you know something? Big Daddy's made no will. Big Daddy never made out any will in his life. And so this campaign's afoot to impress him. forcibly as possible with the fact that you drink and I have borne no children.
He continues to stare at her a moment, then mutters something sharp but not audible and hobbles rather rapidly out onto the long gallery in the fading, much faded gold light.
You know, I'm fond of Big Daddy. I'm genuinely fond of that old man. I really am, you know.
Yes, I know you are.
I've always sort of admired him in spite of his coarseness, his four-letter words and so forth. Because Big Daddy is what he is, and he makes no bones about it. He hasn't turned gentleman farmer. He's still a Mississippi redneck, as much of a redneck as he must have been when he was just overseer here on the old Jack Straw Peter Ocello place. But he got a hold of it, and he built it into the biggest and finest plantation in the Delta. I've always liked Big Daddy.
She crosses to the proscenium.
Well, this is Big Daddy's last birthday. I'm sorry about it, but I'm facing the facts. It takes money to take care of a drinker, and that's the office that I've been elected to lately.
You don't have to take care of me.
Yes, I do. Two people in the same boat have got to take care of each other. At least you want money to buy more Echo Spring when this supply is exhausted, or will you be satisfied with a 10-cent beer? May and Gooper are planning to freeze us out of Big Daddy's estate because you drink and I'm childless. But we can defeat that plan. We're going to defeat that plan. Brick, you know, I've been so goddamn disgustingly poor all my life. That's the truth, Brick.
I'm not saying it isn't.
Always had to suck up to people I couldn't stand because they had money and I was poor as a job's turkey. You don't know what that's like. Well, I'll tell you. It's like you would feel 1,000 miles away from Echo Spring and had to get back to it on that broken angle without a crutch. That's how it feels to be as poor as job's turkey and have to suck up to relatives that you hated because they had money and all you had was a bunch of hand-me-down clothes and a few old moldy 3% government bonds. My daddy loved his liquor. He fell in love with his liquor the way you've fallen in love with Echo Spring. My poor mama having to maintain some semblance of social position to keep appearances up on an income of $150 a month on those old government bonds. When I came out the year that I made my debut, I had just 2 evening dresses. One Mother made me from a pattern in Vogue, and one a hand-me-down from a snotty rich cousin I hated. The dress that I married you in was my grandmother's wedding gown, so that's why I'm like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Brick is still on the gallery. Someone below calls up to him in a warm voice. Hiya, Mr. Brick. How you feeling? Brick raises his liquor glass as if that answered the question.
You can be young without money, but you can't be old without it. You've got to be old with money because to be old without is just too awful. You've got to be one or the other. Either young with money, you can't be old and without it. That's the truth, Brick.
Brick whistles softly, vaguely.
Well, now I'm dressed. I'm all dressed and there's nothing else for me to do. I'm dressed, all dressed, nothing else for me to do.
She moves about restlessly, aimlessly, and speaks as if to herself.
I know when I made my mistake. What am I? Oh, my bracelets.
She starts working a collection of bracelets over her hands onto her wrists, about 6 on each as she talks.
I've thought a whole lot about it, and now I know when I made my mistake. Yes, I made my mistake when I told you the truth about that thing with Skipper. Never should have confessed it. A fatal error telling you that thing with Skipper.
Maggie, shut up about Skipper. I mean it, Maggie. You've got to shut up about Skipper.
You ought to understand that Skipper and
You don't think I'm serious, Maggie. You're fooled by the fact that I am saying this quiet. Look, Maggie, what you're doing is a dangerous thing to do. You're fooling with that something that nobody ought to fool with.
This time, I'm going to finish what I have to say to you. Skipper and I made love, if love you could call it, because it made both of us feel a little bit closer to you. You see, son of a bitch, you asked too much of people, of me, of him, of all the unlucky poor damn son of a bitches that happened to love you. And there was a whole pack of them. Yes, there was a pack of them besides me and Skipper. You asked too goddamn much of the people that loved you, you superior creature, you godlike being. And so we made love to each other to dream it was you, both of us. Yes, yes, yes. Truth. Truth. What's so awful about it? I like it. I think the truth is, yeah, I shouldn't have told you.
It was Skipper that told me about it, not you, Maggie.
I told you.
After he told me.
What does it matter?
Brick turns suddenly upon the gallery and calls.
Little girl. Hey, little girl.
What, Uncle Brick?
Tell the folks to come up. Bring everybody upstairs.
I can't stop myself. I'd go on telling you this in front of them all if I had to.
Little girl, go on, will you? Do what I told you, call him.
Because it's got to be told, and you never let me.
She sobs, then controls herself and continues almost calmly.
It was one of those beautiful, ideal things that they tell about in Greek legends. Couldn't be anything else, you being you. And that's what made it so sad. So made it so awful, because it was love that never could be carried through to anything satisfying or even talked about plainly. Brick, I tell you, you've got to believe me, Brick. I do understand all about it. I think it was noble. Can't you tell I'm sincere when I say I respect it? My only point, the only point that I'm making, is life has got to be allowed to continue even after the dream of life is all over.
Brick is without his crutch, leaning on furniture. He crosses to pick it up as she continues as if possessed by a will outside of herself.
Why, I remember when we double dated at college. Gladys Fitzgerald and I, and you and Skipper. It was more like a date between you and Skipper. Gladys and I were just sort of tagging along as if it was necessary to chaperone you to make a good public impression.
Maggie, you want me to hit you with this crutch? Don't know I could kill you with this crutch.
Good Lord, man, do you think I'd care if you did?
One man has great, good, true thing in his life. One great, good thing, which is true. I had friendship with Skipper. You are naming it dirty.
I'm not naming it dirty. I am naming it clean.
Not love with you, Maggie, but friendship with Skipper was that one great, true thing. And you are naming it dirty.
Then you haven't been listening, not understood what I'm saying. I'm naming it so damn clean that it killed poor Skipper. You two had something that had to be kept on ice. Yes, incorruptible. Yes. And death was the only icebox where you could keep it.
I married you, Maggie. Why would I marry you, Maggie, if I was...
Brick, don't brain me yet. Let me finish. I know, believe me, I know that it was only Skipper that harbored even any unconscious desire for anything not perfectly pure between you two. Now let me skip a little. You married me early that summer. We graduated out of Ole Miss. We were happy, weren't we? We were blissful. Yes, hit heaven together every time that we loved. But that fall, you and Skipper turned down wonderful offers of jobs in order to keep on being football heroes. Pro football heroes. You organized the Dixie Stars that fall so you could keep on being teammates forever. But something was not right with it. Me included, between you. Skipper began hitting the bottle. You got a spinal injury. Couldn't play the Thanksgiving game in Chicago. Watch it on TV from a traction bed in Toledo. I joined Skipper. The Dixie Stars lost because poor Skipper was drunk. We drank together that night, all night in the bar of Blackstone, and when the cold day was coming up over the lake and we were coming out drunk to take a dizzy look at it, I said, Skipper, stop loving my husband or tell him he's got to let you admit it to him, one way or another. He slapped me hard on the mouth, then turned and ran without stopping once. I am sure all the way back to his room at the Blackstone. When I came to his room that night with a little scratch like a shy little mouse at his door, he made that pitiful, ineffectual little attempt to prove that what I had said wasn't true.
Brick strikes at her with the crutch, a blow that shatters a gem-like lamp on the table.
In this way, I destroyed him by telling him truth that he and his world, which he was born and raised in, yours and his world, had told him could not be told. From then on, Skipper was nothing at all but a receptacle for liquor and drugs. Who shot Cock Robin? I, with my merciful arrow.
Brick strikes at her, misses.
Miss me? Sorry, I'm not trying to whitewash my behavior. Christ, no. Brick, I'm not good. I don't know why people have to pretend to be good. Nobody's good. The rich or the well-to-do can afford to respect moral patterns, conventional moral patterns, but can never afford to. But I'm honest. Give me credit for just that, will you please? Born poor, raised poor, expect to die poor, unless I manage to get us something out of what Big Daddy leaves us when he dies of cancer. But Brick, Skipper's dead. I'm alive. Maggie, the cat, is...
Brick hops awkwardly forward and strikes at her again with his crutch.
Alive. I am alive. I am...
He hurls the crutch at her across the bed she took refuge behind and pitches forward on the floor as she completes her speech.
Alive.
A little girl, Dixie, bursts into the room wearing an Indian war bonnet and firing a cat pistol at Margaret and shouting, "Bang!
Bang, bang, bang!"
Laughter downstairs floats through the open ball door. Margaret had crouched, gasping, to bed at the child's entrance. She now rises and says with cool fury,
Little girl, your mother or someone should teach you to knock at a door before you come into a room. Otherwise, people might think that you lack good breeding.
Yeah. What is Uncle Brick doing on the floor?
I tried to kill your Aunt Maggie, but I failed. And I fell. Little girl, give me my crutch so I can get up off the floor.
Yes, give your uncle his crutch. He's a cripple, honey. He broke his ankle last night jumping hurdles on the high school athletic field.
What are you jumping hurdles for, Uncle Brick?
Because I used to jump them, and people like to do what they used to do, even after they've stopped being able to do it.
That's right. That's your answer. Now go away, little girl.
Dixie fires the cat pistol at Margaret 3 times.
Stop that monster, you little no-neck monster.
She seizes the cat pistol and hurls it through the gallery doors.
You jealous? You're just jealous because you can't have babies.
She sticks out her tongue at Margaret as she sashays past her with her stomach stuck out to the gallery. Margaret slams the gallery doors and leans panting away from them. There is a pause. Brick has replaced his spilt drink and sits far away on the great 4-poster bed.
You see? They gloat over us being childless, even in front of their 5 little no-neck monsters.
Pause. Voices approach on the stairs.
Brick, I've been to a doctor in Memphis, a gynecologist. I've been completely examined, and there is no reason why we can't have a child whenever we want one. And this is my time by the calendar conceive. Are you listening to me, are you? Are you listening to me?
Yes, I hear you, Maggie.
His attention returns to her inflamed face.
But how in hell on earth do you imagine that you're going to have a child by a man that can't stand you?
That's a problem I will have to work out.
She wheels about to face the hall door.
Here they come.
The lights dim. Curtain.